Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on The Flash Season 4 and the rest of the Arrowverse shows as well. We're talking about the crossover. Now just quickly, I am sorry for no video yesterday. I did have a decent amount of people messaging me, which was weird because I didn't upload. There wasn't anything wrong, just blame FIFA 18 Early Access because that came out and absorbed a lot of my time, and then I realized, oh crap, haven't made a video, and then just didn't do it, I guess. So last season, for all of the DC TV shows on the CW, the big Invasion crossover where we saw our favourite heroes take on the Dominators was a massive success and also a massive achievement in my eyes as well. But obviously when you do something impressive that comes off as an achievement, everyone is going to expect you to top that and, provide something even better later on. And that is exactly what faces the producers, writers, and even the cast of the Arrowverse shows this season as we head into the next big crossover event. Now at this point in time, we do not know the premise of this season's crossover event, unlike last season where we learned that the Invasion storyline from the comics would be the premise for that crossover a decent amount of time before they actually began filming the actual crossover. We have, however, received certain little teasers to it thanks to the Twitter of Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow showrunner Mark Guggenheim. Now I'm not going to show you them all here, but I will leave his Twitter linked in the description down below as I have already shown most of them in previous videos, so yeah, it will be linked down below, go check it out. However, we do have some other nuggets of information leaking through to go over regarding the crossover, which some, if not most of you, will find fairly interesting. But do be sure to let me know in the comments section down below all of your thoughts on these different little nuggets of information, if you like them, if you hate them. And of course, if you go on to enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So the first little piece of information to go over is that both Iris and Caitlin will be in not only the Flash episode of the crossover event, but also the Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow portions as well. Last season, Iris and Caitlin were only in the Flash episode of the crossover from memory, so they are getting somewhat bigger roles. Now this doesn't necessarily mean that both Iris and Caitlin have huge, massive roles in the crossover. They could just have a scene or two in the Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow episodes. Now, some of you may have noticed that I didn't mention that they will be appearing in the Supergirl episode of the crossover, and I have a feeling this is because the threat that's facing everyone will begin on Earth 38, or Supergirl's Earth, and then Barry and others, most likely Cisco and Oliver, probably just them three, will go over to assist, and then at the end of that episode, the threat gets over to Earth 1, and that's where Arrow's episode of the crossover kicks off. So the Supergirl episode would involve the Supergirl characters, duh, and then only Barry, Oliver, Cisco probably, and maybe some others. There could be others, it just would be hard to get so many characters from Earth 1 over to Earth 38. The next piece of information is probably the most surprising, and that is that Leonard Snart, aka Captain Cold, will be in the crossover, which is just pretty damn insane. But he will also be sharing some scenes with Supergirl's sister, Alex Danvers, which may seem a bit random to some, including myself, I think it's pretty random. But I'm assuming this will be all set up in the crossover, why they're having scenes together and stuff like that. And it won't seem as random when we finally see it on screen. But yeah, pretty awesome that Captain Cold will be in the crossover. For those that didn't know, this season there is supposed to be a good version of Captain Cold, so I'm very excited to see his interactions with everyone else, but mainly Barry or the Flash in the crossover, just going by their past, and yeah, just going by what we've seen with them in the past. Also, Winn from Supergirl will feature throughout the crossover, which doesn't surprise me too much. He will most likely team up with Felicity and maybe even Cisco as the tech team for the crossover. Many people have been screaming and shouting for Winn and Cisco to finally hang out, and it does seem we will finally get that in this year's crossover at last. Technically, Cisco and Winn have hung out before in the musical crossover last season, but that was in an alternate dream reality place thing where they weren't really Winn or Cisco. Now coming back around to Alex Danvers again, she will be having scenes with Sarah Lance in the crossover. Now this is interesting as these two characters are actually both bisexual. Now I'm pretty sure they will just share scenes, so not necessarily having one-on-one scenes, but they could have a scene where it is just them one-on-one, and for you filthy minded people out there, get your minds out of the gutter. They did say a couple of weeks ago that both Kara and Alex Danvers, so the Danvers sisters, will be central to the crossover, so that is a reason I've mentioned Alex a few times in this video already. Now that doesn't mean the crossover revolves around the Danvers sisters, don't get worried if you aren't the biggest fan of that. It just means that they will feature a lot in the crossover, being in the majority of scenes for the most part, and they'll probably have their own storyline running straight through the crossover. So whether it be conflict or just like a sisterly storyline or something like that. It's just going to be running through the crossover. So it'll start in Supergirl's episode and end in Legends of Tomorrow's episode, if you know what I mean. Throughout the crossover, there will also be at least one scene with only Iris, Caitlin, Felicity, and Kara. Now, going over information we have already had revealed to us previously about the crossover, I think we can narrow down where this scene will be taking place, and that is just before the wedding in the crossover. Now, this wedding is 99.99% most likely going to be between Barry and Iris, so the West Allen wedding. So this scene would most likely be in the bride's room, I guess you would call it, where like the bride and her bridesmaids would be, you know, situated before the ceremony. Also, David Ramsey, who plays John Diggle, said he would be officiating not one, but 2 weddings in the crossover. However, myself and a lot of other people think this is actually misleading. I think the first attempt at the West Allen wedding will be interrupted or failed in some way, and then they will do it again later in the crossover, probably at the end. So they'll do like the first one in the Flash episode, most likely. Something will go wrong, and then they'll do it in the Legends episode, most likely, and they'll probably get married. And the last thing to go over in this video actually regards Black Siren. Now at this point there is no indication that she will be in the crossover, which is disappointing for a few reasons. The first one being she is a badass, the second being that she is a glamorous badass, and the third being that we won't get interactions between her and Sarah Lance. That is one thing many want to see, and I think it would suck if that didn't get to happen in the crossover. The main reason this would be the case though is due to how early in the season the crossover is. There isn't really enough time in Arrow's season leading up to the crossover to turn Black Siren from the villain early on that we see in the trailers and stuff into the ally that she will most likely become later on in the season. There is nowhere near enough time to make them friendly friends, as the crossover is only in episode 8. So there's only 7 episodes of Arrow, and 5 and 6, might I say, of those seasons are the Deathstroke 2-parter. So there'll most likely be no Black Siren in those 2 episodes. So it'd actually be sort of silly if Black Siren was all of a sudden an ally in episode 8 and in the crossover. However, let's hope they can somehow work it around and work a scene between her and Sarah in some way, in any way. It would just be great to see. Or they could simply have it that maybe Sarah sees that there's a Earth 2 Black Siren, or Earth 2 Laurel, might I say, on Earth 1 on like a news report or something, and she goes off on her own to meet Black Siren. And maybe that's a step in Black Siren's redemption arc. That could be something that they do, but it just matters if they can fit that in the crossover. But thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, it'd be awesome if you could leave a like on it just to show your support for the video and the channel as a whole. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of all of this. Do you hate some of this stuff? What are your thoughts on the other stuff that you might actually like? And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.